The mortality rate is close to 100%. Are you sure you want to proceed? In a room thick with the smell of alcohol and disinfectant, Zhao Su lay quietly on the operating table. Confirmed. After losing his job at the start of the year, he had set up street stalls, delivered food, and worked hard just to get by. 6 months ago, he finally landed a new job. But on his very first day, disaster struck. An out-of-control car slammed into him and left him badly injured. When he woke up in the hospital, the doctor told him he was a high-level paraplegic. Only his head could move. His girlfriend, the one who had promised to grow old with him, visited once after hearing the news, then walked out without a word, and was never heard from again. His life had entered its darkest hour. Then came an invitation from the ex-biochip research team. By volunteering for their experiment, he might recover his health and receive additional benefits. The catch, an extremely high failure rate. And failure meant death. He didn't believe it, of course. It sounded absurd, but he agreed anyway. After all, he had nothing left to live for. Surgery begins. Administer anesthesia. Implanting the chip. Chip implantation successful. Neural connection successful. Data transmitting. Report. Overload warning. Subject's brain waves are weakening. Gone. Damn it. Failed again. Can a human brain truly not handle the knowledge stored in this biochip? Great Song Dynasty. Yin Province. Yin Prefecture. Yin City. After the Mao hour, just after 5 in the morning, the servants and maids of Yin Prince Manor were already busy at work. Under a willow tree, a maid glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then leaned toward a servant and whispered, "Last night, the Yin Prince went mad again. Said all kinds of strange things." The servant craned his neck. "Like what? Things like my legs can move? My hands can move too? Am I dreaming? Did I transmigrate? Who am I now? Transmigrate." The servant laughed quietly. "That's a new one. What nonsense. He even forgot who he is? Did he forget Fenger and Luiner too?" The maid glared at him. "Look at you. Men are all the same, eating what's in the bowl while eyeing what's in the pot. Don't tell me you've been thinking about them too." "I just pity those two," the servant said, quickly grabbing her hand. "Such lovely girls, bound to a mad and foolish prince. What a waste. You're the only one I care about." The maid snorted. Then, with a bitter edge to her voice, she added, "They can only blame their bad luck." Just now, Royal Tutor Zhang went to the backyard alone again. I wonder if he'll get what he wants this time. The servant spat. "Beast." Yin Prince Manor. Backyard sleeping quarters. Zhao Su sat on the bed. The dirty, greasy bedding gave off a sharp, sour smell, pungent enough to snap anyone awake. When he first opened his eyes, he thought he was dreaming. But after half a night of that smell, and after sifting through the memories of this body, he accepted the truth. He had transmigrated. Like his own name, the person whose body he now occupied was also called Zhao Su. But this Zhao Su was the 9th prince of the Great Song Dynasty. From the memories he had inherited, the 9th prince had spent his early years being bullied by the other princes at the imperial capital. At 13, during one of those conflicts, the 6th prince struck him on the head with a stick. After that, he was never the same, considered mad and foolish by everyone around him. 3 years later, early this spring, Emperor Zhao Hung fell gravely ill. Rumors swept through the palace claiming the 9th prince was an inauspicious person, that his fate was in conflict with the emperor's star, and that his presence in the capital was the cause of the illness. The solution, according to the rumors, was to banish him to the north. Emperor Zhao Hung had many children and had never been fond of this particular son. Though he only half believed the rumors, he eventually let them take hold. He disowned the boy entirely. But to keep up appearances with royal tradition, he gave him a title. The 9th prince became the Yin Prince, with a fiefdom in the most desolate corner of Yin province. The emperor also hastily assembled a staff for the new Yin Prince Manor, appointing a man named Zhang Han as royal tutor to assist him. Then he sent the boy north and put him out of his mind. Zhang Han was no scholar or nobleman. He was a former street ruffian who had purchased his title with money. The moment he saw that Zhao Su was mad and helpless, and that his mother, a low-ranking palace consort, had no power to protect him, Zhang Han's true character emerged. Upon arriving in Yin Prefecture, he locked Zhao Su away. Officially, it was to prevent the Mad Prince from harming people. In reality, it was to seize control of the entire prefecture for himself. He even set his sights on Zhao Su's personal mates. But Feng'er had a fiery temper. Every time Zhang Han made advances, she threatened to take her own life rather than submit. Fearing a death he would have to answer for, Zhang Han always backed down. Still, he hadn't given up. He kept sweet-talking the two girls, hoping they would eventually give in. Feng'er had told Zhao Su all of this in secret during her visits. The original Zhao Su, lost in his madness, had not understood any of it. Feng'er and Luiner could only weep. But those memories had passed him now, and he understood everything. Footsteps broke Zhao Su out of his thoughts. The servant who brought his breakfast every morning had arrived outside the door. Zhao Su grabbed the inkstone from the table and slipped quietly behind the door. From the inherited memories, he knew the routine. The door to his quarters only opened at mealtimes, and every time the original Zhao Su had tried to run out, Zhang Han's servants had dragged him straight back. But things were different now. He was still a prince. He refused to spend the rest of his life locked up like a madman, waiting to die. He had died once already. What was left to fear? In this new life, he had one creed. If you don't like it, fight. The door swung open. A servant in a green robe stepped inside. "Where did this fool wander off to?" the servant muttered, not seeing anyone. Royal Tutor Zhang is determined to have Feng'er and Luiner today. Huh, I wonder if he'll finally get what he wants. The servant's grin froze on his face. Then he dropped straight to the ground. Zhao Su stood over him, tapping the inkstone lightly against his palm. "From today onwards," he said, "I am a Yin Prince." Then the servant's words caught up with him. He cursed under his breath. Something was wrong. Feng'er and Luiner, they were in danger right now. He moved fast. Feng'er and Luiner's room was less than 30 meters away, diagonally across from his quarters. As he approached, he heard Zhang Han's voice carrying through the door. "Feng'er, Luiner." Zhang Han's tone was thick with arrogance. "Do you truly plan to stay chaste for a mad prince? Let me be clear. This royal tutor is not leaving today. Willing or not, you will both become my women." "Scoundrel!" Feng'er's voice rang out, sharp with fury. "How dare you speak to us this way? I will go straight to Commander Chang and report every word. Go ahead and try. You're not getting past that door. I suggest you stop fighting and accept things. Otherwise, I'll have you both sold to a brothel." "You wouldn't dare." "Sister," Luiner's voice broke. She was on the verge of tears. "Huh, only the wise know when to adapt." Zhang Han's voice turned smug. "Everyone in Yin Prefecture answers to me now. Forget that mad prince. I am the true Yin Prince of this." He stopped mid-sentence. A figure had walked through the door, hands clasped behind his back. "Zhao Su. Zhang Quan. Where are you? How did you let this madman escape? Get in here and drag him back." Zhang Han barked, but his eyes barely moved. He didn't take this prince seriously. Never had. Feng'er and Luiner, however, pressed their hands to their mouths in shock. Zhao Su reached behind his back and produced the inkstone. He tapped it slowly against his palm, smiling with cold patience. Zhang Han sat in his chair, wearing a silver robe, every inch the picture of a cultured gentleman. But it was a hollow image, false refinement painted over something rotten. He had used Zhao Su's madness to take over the Yin Prince Manor, and now he had the nerve to go after his maids. This could not stand. It was time to settle the score. "Your Highness, what are you doing with that inkstone?" The tutor noticed the bloodstains and immediately began to stammer. "Someone, the prince has gone mad again. Seize him and bring him back." His words were cut short. Zhao Su swung the inkstone and caught him square on the forehead. With a heavy thud, the tutor's eyes rolled back and he collapsed to the ground, blood pooling beneath his head. Whether he was alive or dead was hard to say. Feng'er and Luiner backed away in terror. To them, Zhao Su's madness had returned. and they might be next. Zhao Su saw the fear on their faces and stopped. To break the tension, he tried to smile. He didn't know it yet, but at that moment, his smile looked less like reassurance and more like a killer's grin. The two girls pressed together like frightened rabbits. Finger had a peach blossom face and sharp phoenix eyes, captivating at first glance. Luiner was softer, with wide apricot eyes and a round face that made her look sweetly naive. Both were pale as snow and slender as reeds. Finger. Luiner. Zhao Su set the inkstone down on the floor. What's wrong? Am I really that frightening? The two girls froze. Since the ninth prince lost his mind years ago, he had never spoken a real word. Only sounds. Hollow, meaningless sounds. Hearing a full, clear sentence from him now hit them like a shock of cold water. My madness is cured, Zhao Su said, settling into a chair. Are you not happy about that? Finger's grip tightened on Luiner's arm. Then, all at once, tears spilled down both their faces. They had no family. Out here on this distant frontier, the ninth prince was all they had. Even the smallest sign of improvement in his condition had always been enough to carry them through days of hardship. And now, he was speaking normally. Finger, being the bolder of the two, stepped forward. Her eyes were full of cautious hope. If your highness is truly himself again, do you know who you are? I am Zhao Su, he said, the corner of his mouth lifting. Ninth prince of great song. If you still don't believe me, you're welcome to ask something more personal. A blush spread across both their faces at once. As his personal maids, they knew things about him that no one else did. They were not like the general servants who cleaned and cooked. They had been responsible for his daily care since childhood, closer to him than anyone in the manor. A clatter of rushing footsteps broke the moment. The servant Zhao Su had knocked out earlier came stumbling back through the door, one hand pressed to his bleeding head, 7 other servants filing in behind him. The moment they saw the tutor lying in a pool of blood, one of them cried out in anguish. Then the lead servant, the one assigned to guard Zhao Su, jabbed a finger in his direction. What are you all standing around for? Seize the mad prince and drag him back. The servants started forward, assuming this was just another of the mad prince's usual fits. My madness is cured. Zhao Su's voice cut through the room. He rose from the chair and squared his shoulders. Those who are not afraid of death are welcome to try. The servants stopped dead. His Highness can speak. They stumbled back like they'd seen a ghost. Presumptuous. Finger stepped forward, her voice like a whip crack. All of you out. His Highness is perfectly well. No one is locking him away again. Nonsense. The lead servant's voice cracked with panic. If the Prince of Yin were truly cured, how could he have done this to the royal tutor? He had good reason to be afraid. He knew exactly how he and the tutor had treated Zhao Su over the past 3 months, when no one else was watching. If the prince had truly recovered, that knowledge would cost him his life. Ha ha ha. He forced a laugh, his eyes going cold. Can a madman's words be trusted? This must be those 2 maids using him to take down the tutor and grab power for themselves. Seize all 3 of them. He lunged toward Zhao Su. He never made it 2 steps. A dull crack rang out. The lead servant dropped straight to the floor. Behind him stood a young servant, early 20s, square-jawed, with a face the deep red-brown of a jujube. He held a stick loosely at his side, still raised from a swing. Lowly dog, the young man said quietly, daring to lay hands on the Prince of Yin. The room went still. Zhao Su recovered first. He looked the young man over with a smile. What is your name? This humble one is called Lu Fu, Your Highness. Lu Fu. Zhao Su nodded. You have a future. From this day forward, you are a high-grade servant of this manor, assigned personally to me. Lu Fu's face broke into a wide grin. He dropped to one knee, set down the stick, and pressed his forehead to the floor. This humble one is grateful for your highness's grace. The other servants exchanged glances. Then, without a word, they rolled up their sleeves and descended on the lead servant, putting their boots and fists into him with considerable enthusiasm. Under the tutor's rule, that man had thrown his weight around the manor for months. Now the tide had turned, and old scores were being settled. Those who know which way the wind blows are wise men, Zhao Su said, looking around the room. I will promote all of you to high-grade servants as well. Stay loyal to me, and you will not go unrewarded. The servants dropped to their knees as one. Thank you, Your Highness. Zhao Su waved a hand, dragged the tutor and that guard away. They'll be dealt with the day after tomorrow. He had gambled, and won, even in a manner full of the tutor's men. The same prince still commanded respect. As the servants filed out, Zhao Su sank back into his thoughts, and the full weight of his situation landed on him. The world he had arrived in was not his own, not even close. It shared some ancient myths and legends with the world he came from, but its history had taken an entirely different path. There was no Qin Shi Huang unifying the warring states, no Emperor Wu pushing back the northern tribes, no glorious Tang dynasty. This world had its own logic, its own turning points, its own strange cast of figures who had pushed civilization forward, or dragged it back. Great Song, the dynasty he now found himself in, had stood for over 240 years. For most of that time, imperial power and the great noble families had ruled together. But dynasties age. After 2 centuries, the rot was deep. Land had been swallowed up by the wealthy, until the poor had nowhere to stand. Now, 8 powerful clans controlled almost everything. The Wang Doma, Han, Liang, Fan, Xie, and Shao. Whispers of separatism were growing louder, and the threats from outside were just as bad. To the north, a Jurchen people called the Northern D had risen, a mounted force of over 1 million cavalry, with their eyes set on the heartland. Every autumn and winter, large raiding parties slipped through gaps in the Yin Mountains and tore through Yin province like a storm. To the northwest, a Xianbei people called the Western Liang were locked in yearly warfare with Great Song and had already begun pushing into Jin province, which shared a border with Yin province. If Jin fell, you would be caught from 2 sides. To the southwest, the Tubo. To the south, the Jiao Qi and the Paiyu. At sea, pirates from Dongying and Goryeo ran rampant along the coasts. And rumor had it that somewhere deeper in the ocean, Western ships armed with cannons were already making their presence known. 100 years ago, Great Song had banned all sea trade to stop coastal merchants from cutting deals with pirates. It hadn't solved much. Zhao Su's fiefdom sat at the northern tip of Yin province, directly in the path of the northern D's raiding routes. Of all the dangerous places in this crumbling empire, he had been dropped into one of the most dangerous. This starting situation is, he exhaled slowly, terrible, compared to everything bearing down on him from outside. The tutor was barely a footnote. He was still turning it over in his mind when something shifted. A sudden jolt, deep inside his skull. Then it came all at once. Data, formulas, diagrams, technical processes, cascading through his mind like a dam breaking. Knowledge he had never studied. Sciences he had never learned. Engineering, chemistry, medicine, weapons, the biochip. Of course, the experiment hadn't failed. Not entirely. The chip had crossed over with him. It was technology far beyond anything his old world had publicly achieved, more advanced than the most cutting-edge brain-computer interfaces he had read about. The chip stored knowledge spanning all of human history up to his era, along with the most advanced science and technology of his time. Connected to a human brain, it turned the mind into a fully loaded hard drive. Zhao Su sat quietly for a long moment, letting it all settle. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. Maybe things weren't so hopeless after all. Your Highness, please have your meal. Luiner set 2 bowls of red date porridge on the table and stepped back to wait. Her eyes lingered on the bowls for just a moment, and she swallowed quietly. She and Fenger had remembered that Zhao Su hadn't eaten breakfast. Without a word between them, Luiner had gone to the kitchen to have something prepared. Fenger looked at the 2 plain bowls and frowned. Your Highness has just recovered from a serious illness. Couldn't the kitchen manage anything better than this? She wouldn't normally have said anything. She knew the manor was short on funds. But Zhao Su had finally come back to himself. He deserved something more than watered-down porridge. There was nothing else to make, Luaner said, her face tight with embarrassment. The kitchen said all that's left is rice and red dates. And even the rice is nearly gone. They asked when they'd be given money to buy more. Finger sighed. Then, worried Zhao Su might blame Luaner, she began to explain. The Northern D cavalry raids every year. Farmers who spend a full year growing grain. Watch it get plundered in a single night. People are killed or taken. Those who survive are left with nothing, starving and freezing through the winter. And the noble families of Yin Prefecture don't help. They do the opposite. They show up with a few steamed buns or bowls of porridge and offer to trade food for land. Desperate people have no choice. They hand over their fields and become tenant farmers. Or worse, servants and slaves, just to eat. Zhao Su nodded slowly, stirring his porridge. Before his madness, he had received a formal palace education. His tutor had covered exactly this kind of problem. It wasn't unique to Yin province. It was rotting the whole of great song from the inside. The noble families, called powerful families, had spent generations embedding themselves into local power. The smaller ones controlled individual prefectures and counties. The larger ones held entire provinces, sometimes several at once, and were barely answerable to the emperor at all. During Great Song's peak, the throne had kept them in check. Princes were granted fiefdoms specifically as a counterweight. That was part of why the dynasty had lasted over 200 years. Without it, it likely wouldn't have survived 100. But now the balance had shifted. Decades of war against the northern and western tribes had drained the royal family's strength. The powerful families had grown bolder. Out here on the frontier, where, as the saying went, the sky was high and the emperor was far away, they barely bothered to pretend otherwise. Can't the manor collect taxes at all? Zhao Su asked. Finger looked at him, mildly surprised. How did your highness know? The commoners can't feed themselves, so they have nothing to give. The powerful families have money, but every official in Yin Prefecture comes from one of those families. They cover for each other. He set down his spoon. Of course there are no taxes. That's exactly it, Finger said quietly. For the past 3 months, we've been living off the silver brought from the capital. It's worse than that, Luaner added, her voice dropping. The powerful families have deliberately driven up the price of rice to force anyone still holding onto their land to sell. Even people who could once afford to eat can't anymore. Our own manor has been affected. If things keep going this way, we won't have rice to cook. Zhao Su thought of the people he'd seen in the inherited memories. The manor staff growing thinner and more hollow-faced with every passing week. That explained it. No tax income. Whatever little did come in, first passed through the hands of Yin Prefecture's officials, who skimmed it, and then through the tutor, who skimmed it again. Whatever reached the manor was whatever those two felt like leaving behind. Lu Fu, Zhao Su said, pushing his empty bowl aside. Bring me the manor's account books. Lu Fu left, and returned shortly after with a half-gray-haired old man shuffling along behind him. This was Accountant Qin, the manor's bookkeeper. The old man took one look at Zhao Su and dropped to his knees. Your Highness, I was coerced. Everything I did was under the tutor's orders. Please spare this old one's life. As long as you're honest with me, you have nothing to fear. Zhao Su helped him up. Now, show me everything. The old accountant steadied himself, opened the ledgers with trembling hands, and began to go through them page by page. In the 3 months since arriving in Yin Prefecture, the manor received a total of 50 taels of silver in tax payments from the prefecture offices. The tutor took all of it, under the claim that it was needed for repairs. Zhao Su said nothing. His jaw tightened. The 3,000 acres of fertile land allocated to the manor by the royal family. The tutor sold them. He told the buyers the manor needed funds. He charged 1 mace of silver per acre. The old man paused. That money was also taken by the tutor. Zhao Su stared at the page. Those 3,000 acres were his, allocated to him personally by royal regulation when he was sent to his fiefdom. The entire purpose was to ensure the manor could sustain itself on rental income, even if tax revenue dried up completely. The tutor had sold every last acre, at a fraction of their worth, and pocketed whatever kickbacks he'd arranged on top of it, selling land belonging to the royal family. That alone was a capital offense. Is the tutor conscious yet? Zhao Su's voice was very quiet. I believe so, Your Highness. Then have him beaten. Now. He looked at Lu Fu. Mercilessly. With pleasure, Lu Fu said, and sent 2 servants off at once. Zhao Su sat back, his chest tight. No land. No tax income. No money coming in at all. How much silver is left in the manor right now? The old accountant hesitated, then answered carefully. Less than 40 taels. With rice prices this high, even if the household is frugal, it will last perhaps 5 or 6 more days. Zhao Su sank into his seat. In ordinary terms, 40 taels was not nothing. A common family in Great Song could live for a month on a single tael. But this wasn't one family. The manor employed servants, attendants, and staff, all of whom needed to eat and receive their monthly wages. On top of that, 100 guards had traveled from the capital to protect him. They needed to be fed and paid too. 40 taels would be gone before the week was out. He dismissed the old accountant and walked out into the courtyard, hand behind his back. The manor around him told the story plainly enough. Roof tiles cracked, walls streaked with damp and neglect, corridors sagging in places. 3 months of the tutor's mismanagement had left everything threadbare. He stood in the heat of the June sun and thought. He couldn't appeal to the powerful families. They didn't answer to the emperor himself. They certainly weren't going to help a broke, recently mad prince. As far as they were concerned, he could starve quietly. That meant his only real foundation was the common people of Yin Prefecture. Win them over, and he'd have something to build with. But goodwill alone wouldn't do it. In their eyes, he was no different from the powerful families who had been bleeding them dry. Words meant nothing to people who were hungry. What they needed was land to farm and food to eat. And the land was in the hands of the powerful families. He could see the shape of the problem clearly. The way out of it was to break the cycle by becoming a bigger player than any of them. Purchase land. Make the people dependent on the manor rather than the noble houses. Grow into the largest powerful family in Yin Prefecture by sheer scale. Once his influence was large enough, he could move against anyone who opposed him. But every part of that plan started the same way. Taels. He needed a large amount of taels, and he needed it fast. He squinted up at the sun, the heat pressing down on his face. And then, slowly, a thought took shape. There was a way to make the powerful families of Yin Prefecture hand their silver over to him willingly. All it would take was a little chemistry. Lu Fu, take this order and deliver it to the noble families of Yin Prefecture. Invite them to the manor. Zhao Su sat at his desk, while Fenger and Luiner laid out brush, ink, and paper. He wrote quickly, stamped the Yin Prince's seal, retrieved from the gatehouse where the tutor had been keeping it, and handed the order to Lu Fu. He had no illusions about what this invitation meant. His fist wasn't big enough yet for a direct fight. In a lawless frontier like this, the noble families had 100 quiet ways to kill a powerless prince and call it misfortune. So for now, he needed to appear cooperative, keep them at ease, while he figured out how to pull their silver out of their pockets. The invitation would also tell him something useful. Who among them might be turned, and who was a pure enemy. Lu Fu tucked the order away and turned to leave. Then came the sound of fighting at the gate. Zhao Su arrived at the main gate to find black-clad swordsmen trading blows with his guards. Bodies, both sides, were already on the ground. "We come on orders of the royal tutor," the lead attacker shouted. "Someone inside is threatening the Yin Prince. We're here to rescue him. Stand down or answer for treason." "Rescue him." A tall general in brown armor planted himself in the gateway. "I guard this manor. If something were wrong inside, I know it." Zhao Su stepped forward. Zhang Han rebelled. "He's already in custody. Anyone who doesn't retreat will be tried for treason." The attackers froze, then scattered. The general watched them go, then turned. His face went still when he saw Zhao Su standing there in full command of himself. "Don't pursue," Zhao Su said to the guards. "We're already short-handed." He looked at the general and found the name in his memory. Chang Wei, appointed by the emperor from the Imperial Guards to command the manor's 100 soldiers. When Fenger had threatened the tutor with his name, it had told Zhao Su something important. Chang Wei and the tutor were not allies. That was why he'd moved so boldly this morning. Chang Wei stepped forward and gave a heavy salute, armor clanging. Commander Chang Wei, reporting to your highness. At ease. Zhao Su studied him. The man's face was closed. Not hostile, but not warm either. After months of everything passing through the tutor's hands, there had been no real contact between them. That was fair. I heard your highness had recovered. Chang Wei's tone was flat. It appears to be true. He paused. Since it is, your highness, we haven't been paid in 3 months. The men are hungry. That's partly why those ruffians were able to wound them today. Zhao Su didn't flinch. Zhang Han took it. All of it. The manor's accounts are empty. The reaction was immediate. Groans, curses, a few men throwing their hands up. Chang Wei's expression hardened. Your highness. His voice dropped, sharp and direct. My men risk their lives out here. I've watched generals and noble steel soldiers pay my entire career. I won't watch it happen again. You won't have to. Zhao Su met his eyes. Give me 3 days. If I have to sell the floorboards of this manor, your men will be paid. A long pause. Chang Wei studied him, then nodded once. 3 days. He cupped his fists. Don't make us regret it. He dismissed the guards. Zhao Su watched them go, the guilt sitting quietly in his chest. These men had fought with unpaid wages and empty stomachs. They deserved better than promises. He gave Lu Fu a look. Lu Fu took the order and headed out. The Zhang family manor was the first stop. 3 men sat in the garden, taking tea, when Lu Fu stated his purpose. The man in the seat of honor, Zhang Qian, head of the Zhang family and the most powerful man in Yin Prefecture, set down his cup with a patient smile. Please convey my regrets to His Highness. I'm afraid I'm unwell. I'll send servants to call on him this afternoon. Lu Fu kept his face even. Before coming, he'd expected exactly this. The other 2 men, Huang Yu of the Huang family, Du Ming of the Du family, spoke up before he could leave. Tell His Highness the same for us. They were smiling. Lu Fu left without another word. He knew the 3 families were bound by marriage. They moved as one. Behind him, as the gate closed, he heard laughter. Lu Fu returned at noon, still sweating, jaw tight. He laid it all out for Zhao Su in the gatehouse, where Zhao Su had spent the morning reading through official documents, getting his first real picture of Yin Prefecture's administration. Every family sent the same answer, Lu Fu said. Servants, not even a junior son. What did they say among themselves? Lu Fu hesitated, then repeated what a stable hand at the Zhang Manor had quietly passed along through a contact. The 3 families had laughed about the land sale. They'd bought the manor's 3,000 acres at a fraction of their value, and considered it settled business. They'd discussed whether to try confining Zhao Su again. They'd mentioned the 6th prince. Apparently, he had already reached out to them, offering backing if they kept the Yin prince in check. And they talked about finding desperate men to quietly finish the job. If it came to that, Zhao Su listened without expression. This is exactly why I sent you, Zhao Su said, closing the household registry he'd been reading. The noble families of Yin Prefecture are not one block. They fight each other over land, over officials, over water rights. The ones on top have no reason to deal with us. But the ones being squeezed out, they might. Lu Fu straightened. He saw it immediately. The manor was weak, but weakness could be leveraged. A smaller family losing ground to the Zhang-Huangdu alliance would jump at the chance to use a prince as cover. And a prince willing to be used was a prince building influence. He looked at Zhao Su with something new in his expression. The madness was gone. That much was obvious. But this was something else entirely. Lu Fu, go buy 3 caddies of bitter niter from the pharmacy. Quick! Zhao Su handed over 10 taels and sent him off. The noble family's servants would be arriving soon. Bitter niter, saltpeter in modern terms, was sold in pharmacies as a laxative. Nobody here knew its other uses. The plan was simple. Saltpeter dissolves in water and pulls enormous amounts of heat out of the surrounding liquid in the process, enough to drop the temperature below freezing. The result: ice, made in minutes, in the middle of summer, from nothing but water and a common medicinal powder. Ice in Great Song South was worth its weight. The imperial capital, Jinling, sat in one of the hottest regions in the country. Winters too mild to freeze the rivers thick enough for harvesting. No ice cellars to stock. Every summer, wealthy families across the south searched for it and came up empty. The saying had become common: summer ice is as precious as gold. It was currently the height of summer. If someone showed up in Jinling with the ability to make ice on demand, in quantity, they would become extraordinarily rich. Zhao Su couldn't leave his fiefdom, but the noble families could. Lu Fu was back within the hour, bag of saltpeter in hand, clothes soaked through with sweat. Zhao Su sent him to find 2 porcelain basins, one large, one small, and then told him to bring the guests to the front courtyard. 40 or 50 people filtered in, mostly servants and junior sons, exactly as expected. They looked around the crumbling estate with barely concealed contempt. One silk-robed young lord took in the peeling walls and sagging eaves, and let the disdain settle openly on his face. "What exactly does His Highness want with us?" he asked Lu Fu. His Highness said he would demonstrate a skill. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Has the madness really cleared up? Demonstrate a skill. What is he, a street performer? Someone turned to leave. Then Zhao Su walked out. The laughter stopped. Everyone bowed, some low, some barely a tilt of the head. Zhao Su noted which was which and said nothing about it. Be at ease. He looked across the crowd. This king hasn't brought you here to waste your time. Wait a moment, and you'll hear about an opportunity to get rich. That bought him the room. Nobody left. He went back inside. The method was straightforward. The small basin held clean water. The large basin held water mixed with saltpeter. The small basin sat inside the large one. A cotton cloth wrapped the whole assembly to block the summer heat. Then he waited, a quarter of an hour. He lifted the cloth. White mist rolled up from inside. The cold hit his face immediately. In the small basin, the water had frozen solid. He carried it out to the courtyard. Gentlemen, he held up the basin. This is what this king wished to show you. Silence. Then, is that ice? Where did ice come from in June? That's not possible. Lu Fu stared with the rest of them. Zhao Su hadn't let him watch the process. He'd only been sent to buy the saltpeter and fetch the basins. Even he couldn't explain it. Your Highness, a cautious voice from the crowd. Is this from an ice cellar? This king made it just now? It is the art of turning water into ice. The courtyard erupted. When it settled, Zhao Su spoke plainly. Ice sells for gold prices across Jiangnan every summer. It is currently June. The hot months have barely started. This king cannot leave his fiefdom, so he cannot profit from this himself. He is therefore prepared to sell the technique. He let that land. It is not being given away, but the returns will be 100-fold on whatever the materials cost. 2 young men pushed forward almost immediately, one from the Dong family, one from the Yang family. Behind them, others were already doing the arithmetic in their heads. Several servants had slipped away entirely, running home to report. Your Highness, someone called from the back. How much silver to learn it? Zhang Qian was still holding his teacup when his servant finished the report. He actually turned water into ice. I saw myself, master. He went into the room for less than a quarter of an hour. Came out with a full basin. The teacup tilted. Hot tea hit his hand. He didn't notice until it burned him. He was out of his chair a moment later. We're going to the manor. Zhang Qian hadn't built the Zhang family into Yin Prefecture's most powerful house by being slow. Ice that could be made on demand. In summer, at low cost. In Jiangnan, the wealthiest region in Great Song, where ice was nearly impossible to source, meant a permanent, unlimited stream of silver. The math was instant. He had been planning to dismantle the Yin Prince Manor. The tutor's arrest had been a slap in his face. The 2 men had shared too many quiet arrangements for Zhang Qian's comfort. But that could wait. First, the technique. Should I send word to the Huang and Du families his servant asked. They're already there. Zhang Qian was already moving. He was right. When he arrived at the manor, Huang Yu and Du Ming were in the courtyard. So were the patriarchs and eldest sons of the Dong, Yang, and Lu families, 3 houses that had always smiled at Zhang Qian while working against him. They had moved faster than he had. Lu Fu looked up as Zhang Qian came through the gate. I thought the head of the Zhang family was unwell this morning. Zhang Qian's smile didn't waver. I recovered. Couldn't very well ignore the Yin prince's invitation. He glanced at Huang Yu and Du Ming. Both gave him the smallest shake of their heads. Lu Fu had already gotten to them too. Zhang Qian filed it away. For the technique. Then we'll see. Lu Fu turned and reported to Zhao Su inside. All 38 noble families of Yin Prefecture were now represented. Every major house, every minor one. Zhao Su stepped out to face them. He had left the price unanswered earlier precisely for this moment. He also hadn't turned away the Zhang family despite their morning's rudeness. Refusing their silver would have been foolish. It would only push them into sabotage. The ice-making method was simple enough that a determined person could reverse engineer it. Better to take their money openly than have them steal it. He spoke first about the dream. For 3 years I was lost in madness. Last night, a master came to me in a dream. He lifted the fog from my mind and taught me several skills. The ice-making technique is one of them. Murmurs moved through the crowd. In a world where emperors' births were recorded alongside celestial omens and divine signs, nobody laughed. Several faces showed something close to unease, which was exactly what he wanted. Men who believed he had heaven's backing would hesitate before moving against him. But that is not why I called you here, he continued. You came for the technique. I'll tell you its price now. The courtyard went quiet. 1 million taels. A beat. Then the courtyard erupted. 1 million. Your Highness, even pooling everything we own, how many years before we'd earn that back? Zhao Su waited. He had run the numbers. Great Song's annual tax revenue was somewhere around 60 to 70 million taels. But that was what reached the throne. The real wealth sat here, in these 38 families. They owned the land. They owned the mines and the grain stores and the trade routes. They controlled the local officials and paid almost nothing in taxes. Each of them was, by any honest measure, extraordinarily rich. The million taels was not an accident. It was a reclamation. In Jinling, he said, letting the noise die down, a caddy of ice sells for 1 qian of silver. A single summer in the capital burns through hundreds of thousands of caddies. Across all of Jiangnan, the number runs into the millions. With a reliable supply and smart distribution, you're back in 2 or 3 years. After that is pure profit. Every summer, indefinitely, the courtyard settled into calculation. He could see it happening in their faces. I also understand that one family producing 1 million taels in silver on hand is not realistic, he added. That is why I invited all 38 of you. This prince is not asking any single family to carry it alone. Dong Yuan, patriarch of the Dong family, stepped forward and bowed. Please explain further, Your Highness. Form a chamber of commerce. All 38 of you jointly operated. Of the 1 million taels, this prince only wants 600,000 in silver. The remaining 400,000 counts as my investment in the chamber. I'll take a share of future profits accordingly. The math landed instantly. Pool the 600,000 between 38 families. Secure a piece of a business with no ceiling on returns. And the risk dropped to almost nothing. 20,000 from my family. 5,000 from ours. The courtyard filled with competing voices. Zhao Su let them talk. The 1 million tael figure had been deliberate, inflated from the start. He'd always wanted 600,000. The other 400,000 was never meant to change hands. It was a mechanism to lock him into the profits permanently, without having to chase anyone for payment. He could have tried to run the ice business himself. He had the knowledge, but he had no capital, no foothold in Jiangnan, and no way to stop a determined, noble family from simply stealing the technique. Once they'd seen it demonstrated, simple methods are easy to replicate. The only way to protect it was to make the powerful families themselves into its guardians. Give them enough skin in the game. That leaks would hurt them as much as him. 600,000 taels for a saltpeter demonstration. The rest would come in dividends. By evening, the front courtyard looked nothing like it had that morning. Servants moved in and out carrying strongboxes, land deeds, sacks of grain, bolts of cloth. Accountant Sheen sat at the center of it all, ledger open, brush moving, sweating through his robe. Not a single mistake, Zhao Su reminded him. Settled back in a wrought-tan chair Lu Fu had brought out. On my life, Your Highness. Silver was scarce. Even wealthy families didn't keep it liquid. Zhao Su had set his priority order. Silver first, land second, goods third. By dusk the count was in. 200,000 taels of silver, 60,000 acres of land, 50,000 shur of grain, and a variety of cloth and goods making up the remainder. Accountant Sheen handed over the ledger. Zhao Su read it without expression and nodded. Since we've paid, teach us the technique. Zhao Su brought them all into the room and walked through it once. 2 basins, saltpeter in the outer, water in the inner, cotton cloth over the top. A quarter of an hour. Ice. The patriarchs stared at the basin, like men who had just watched a conjurer pull something impossible from an empty hat. Zhang Qian's face went cold first. Your Highness, isn't the price somewhat steep for something this simple? Master Zhang. Dong Yuan spread his hands pleasantly. Simple to see, yes. But would any of us have known without the demonstration? Zhang Qian had nothing to say to that. He turned the glare on Dong Yuan instead. Zhao Su gave Dong Yuan a small nod. The Dong family had sent their patriarch today, after starting the morning with an eldest son. That said something. Because it's simple, Zhao Su said to the room, it will spread if any of you let it. If the technique leaks and the chamber's profits collapse, this prince takes no responsibility. That was all it took. Someone in the crowd shouted that any family who leaked it would be the enemy of all 38 houses. The oath went around the room. Everyone swore, Zhang Qian included, slowly, with the look of a man swallowing something unpleasant. Zhao Su swore too. He was making pure profit. Keeping the method quiet suited him perfectly. The families left at nightfall, already debating among themselves who to send south and how to move the saltpeter discreetly. Yang Cheng, patriarch of the Yang family, paused at the gate. Your Highness, we're hosting a banquet tonight. Would you honor us? Another time. I'm still recovering. Wine wouldn't be wise just yet. No offense taken. They bowed and filed out. Zhao Su took Lu Fu to the treasury. Boxes of silver lined the walls. Grain sacks were stacked in the corner. Cloth and sundry goods filled the rest of the space. That morning the manor had 40 taels and 5 days of rice. Now it had a treasury, which meant it had a target on its back. Get Chongwei. The commander arrived shortly. Zhao Su had a small box brought out. What does the manor owe your men? 3 taels a month, 100 men, 3 months. 900 taels. This box has 1,000. Take it all. 900 is 900. Chongwei didn't move. I won't take a coin more than what's owed. Lu Fu laughed. His Highness is giving it to you. Chongwei's glare cut him off. The extra 100 is for the men who were injured today, Zhao Su said. The treasury also needs guarding from tonight onward. Tell your soldiers, this prince does not forget those who serve well. Chongwei was quiet for a moment. Then he clasped his fists hard enough that the armor rang. Not a grain of rice leaves this treasury while I'm standing. He took the box and left. Zhao Su stretched, then said to Lu Fu without looking at him, we have spies in this manor. I know. Lu Fu's eyes narrowed. How else did the noble family's men know to come this morning? Gather everyone, servants, maids, all of them, front of the bedchamber. He walked that way himself. Fenger was sitting on the steps with her chin in her hand, staring at nothing. Luiner leaned against the doorframe, idly twisting a strand of hair. When they heard his footsteps, both looked up, Fenger with an immediate smile, Luiner with a quieter one. They were 14, 15 at most. The composed manner they wore around the other staff was a performance. Here, in a quiet moment, they were just girls. Fenger fell into step beside him and took his arm without thinking about it. Long day, Zhao Su said. Sorry to have ignored such fine company. Fenger's ears went red. Luiner dropped her gaze to the ground, thinking privately that the madness had lifted, but left something else behind entirely. Then she noticed the servants streaming into the back courtyard and looked up at him. Zhao Su smiled. Just watch. We'll have the spies out before the night is over. Who leaked the information today? 20-odd stewards and 6 maids stood in 2 rows outside the bedchamber. Nobody spoke. Zhao Su let the silence sit for a moment. This prince will give you one chance to come forward. After that, he finds out himself, and the consequences will be considerably worse. Still nothing, but faces were changing. Lu Fu, bring Zhang Han. The tutor arrived between 2 guards, the head steward stumbling along beside him. One look at Zhao Su, and both men began to shake. That morning they had controlled the manor and most of the prefecture. Now they were prisoners whose lives depended entirely on the mood of the person in front of them. Your Highness, spare me, please. The tutor's face was wet with tears and mucus. The arrogance was completely gone. Spare you? Zhao Su looked at him without expression. At most, this prince will let you die with some dignity. That broke the room. 3 stewards and 2 maids dropped to their knees. We reported to the Zhang, Huang, and Du families. The tutor told us we'd be killed if we didn't. Zhao Su turned to the tutor. You'll either tell me everything yourself, or we'll start with the irons. Your choice. The tutor had bought his position with bribes, and kept it through bluster. He had no backbone to fall back on. The mention of torture nearly finished him on the spot. He talked, fast, in full, without stopping. 3 months of crimes tumbling out in one long confession. Zhao Su listened. His face grew darker with each item. Then he stood up and kicked the tutor. You sold this prince's land. Another kick. You sold Yin Prefecture salt permits. The mines. Another. You levied extra taxes in this prince's name and used the revenue to cover the Zhang, Huang, and Du families' outstanding debts to the court. You mobilized forced labor to clear farmland for those same 3 families. Every one of those orders had gone out under the Yin Prince Manor seal. To every commoner in Yin Prefecture. The tutor's crimes were Zhao Su's crimes. Fenger touched his arm. Your Highness, it's not worth your health. Lu Fu said quietly. The salt permits and mines are gone. The 3 families won't give those back. But the manor's reputation can be recovered. He drew a finger across his throat. Zhao Su nodded. He'd already reached the same conclusion. The only way to separate himself from the tutor's legacy, in the eyes of Yin Prefecture's people, was to give them the tutor's head. He waved the guards over. They dragged the tutor away. Then he looked at the 5 kneeling stewards and maids. Take them out. Make an example of them. Their cries followed them out of the courtyard. Zhao Su didn't watch. He had given them a chance. They had chosen silence, and he didn't believe for a moment they had acted purely under duress. When the tutor was in power, they had been comfortable enough. And if the cost of betrayal was seen to be low, others in the manor would draw their own conclusions. He looked at those who remained. Follow this prince loyally, and you will not go unrewarded. Betray him, and there will be no second warning. Yes, Your Highness. The bows were immediate and deep. Fenger and Luiner watched him from the side. Luiner murmured, Your Highness truly seems like a Yin prince now. Fenger just smiled. The moon was up by the time the courtyard cleared. Fenger drew water for Zhao Su to wash, made the bed, and saw him settled. He had been on his feet since before dawn. He patted the edge of the bed and looked at the 2 of them. Fenger's ears went red. Luiner's chin dropped to her chest. They exchanged a glance and excused themselves, returning a short while later, scrubbed clean and fragrant. Zhao Su was already asleep. The sun was high when he woke the next morning. Fenger and Luiner wore expressions that were difficult to read, somewhere between amusement and relief. They drew water without comment, and said nothing about the night before. After a quick meal, Zhao Su went to the central courtyard where Lu Fu was waiting. The Chamber of Commerce documents arrived this morning. The manor share is fixed at 40% of all profits. The other family shares are listed here. Lu Fu handed over the papers. Zhao Su scanned them. The documents also named the personnel each family was sending south: buyers for saltpeter, workers for ice production, and sellers for the Jinling market. They would be leaving for the capital today. Send 3 of our stewards with them. That's enough. He had thought carefully about including the Zhang family in the chamber. The main reason was silver, but there was a secondary one. The noble families of Yin Prefecture had split into 2 rough camps, one led by the Zhang family, one by the Dong family, with both sides inside the same commercial operation. Each would watch the others accounting like a hawk. No single family could quietly skim the manor's share without the rival camp noticing and making noise. 3 stewards from the manor to observe was all he needed. Lu Fu went to arrange it. Outside the main gate, Chang Wei stood like a post, eyeing every person who passed as a potential threat. Dark circles sat deep under his eyes. Nothing unusual last night, he reported. Zhao Su put a hand on his shoulder. You've worked hard. This is my post, Your Highness. Zhao Su looked at him for a moment. His father had done him an accidental favor sending this man north. Chang Wei was exactly the kind of officer the court should have been promoting, which probably explained why he'd been schemed out of the Imperial Guards and shipped to the frontier instead. The court was full of flatterers. Men like Chang Wei ended up here. Commander Chang, how large a personal army is a Yin prince permitted under regulation? Chang Wei straightened. 20,000, Your Highness. Zhao Su nodded slowly. The powerful families of Yin province had been allowed to raise private soldiers for decades. The court had permitted it out of necessity, to hold back the Northern D raids when imperial troops were stretched thin. The result was that every major family now had its own armed force, and the separatist tendencies in the province had grown accordingly. If Zhao Su was going to be anything more than a figurehead prince in a crumbling manor, he needed soldiers of his own. How would you like to be Grand General of this prince's personal army? Your Highness must be joking. This humble general could never be worthy of. Since that's the case, this prince will find someone else. This humble general thinks he can give it a try. Chang Wei's composure cracked just enough to be visible. Zhao Su kept his expression neutral. A soldier who doesn't want to be a general is not a good soldier. Chang Wei went quiet. The words landed somewhere old in him, back when he had first put on armor, full of ambition, certain that ability would be recognized and rewarded. The court had educated that certainty out of him steadily. Over years, he hadn't realized how much of it was still there, until just now. He dropped to one knee. Your Highness's trust. This humble general will repay it with everything he has. Zhao Su helped him up. Yin Prefecture is surrounded. The noble families pushing from inside. The Northern D raiding from the north. I need someone I can rely on. Build me an army. Yes, Your Highness. Chang Wei's voice had the ring of iron. Go through Accountant Chin for whatever silver you need. Report directly to me. Chang Wei clasped his fists and left. As he passed the gathered guards and relayed what had just happened, dozens of faces changed at once. Back pay delivered last night. Comfort silver for the wounded. Now a royal army being formed from their own ranks. Promotions, higher wages, and a prince who appeared to actually know what he was doing. The mood outside the gate was entirely different from the day before. Lu Fu returned from seeing off the Ice Ventures traveling party to find the guards grinning like men who'd been told they'd won something. Zhao Su explained. Lu Fu's face did something complicated. Your Highness, this humble one was once a scholar. 18 years of study. He also hopes to be of real use, not just running errands. Zhao Su looked at him properly for the first time since morning. With the tutor gone, the position of royal tutor sat empty. For a prince's manor, the military commander and the chief advisor were the 2 essential pillars. Chang Wei was the first. Lu Fu, clever, well-read, loyal from the moment he swung that stick, was the obvious choice for the second. The position of royal tutor is yours provisionally. Prove yourself, and this prince will make it official. Lu Fu's composure failed him entirely. He pressed his hands together, eyes bright with tears he was fighting to hold back. He had been born into nothing, Great Song did not hold imperial examinations. The dynasty's founder had made a compact with the 8 great clans at the beginning, and in exchange for their support, the court ran on a recommendation system. High offices went to clan sons. Local positions went to families with established names. Scholars from humble backgrounds had almost no path forward, except to attach themselves to a powerful house as a retainer. And even then, a powerful house might not take them, since lineage mattered there too. He had studied for 18 years and ended up selling himself to a prince's manor for medicine money. "Get up," Zhao Su said. "The guards are staring." Lu Fu wiped his face. Then quietly he said, "Scholars from humble backgrounds carry so much knowledge and have nowhere to put it, while the sons of great families who can barely read their own names walk into office by birth." He caught himself. His face went pale. "Your Highness, forgive me." This humble one spoke out of turn. The recommendation system was untouchable. Criticizing it meant criticizing the foundation, on which the royal family and every powerful clan in Great Song had built their arrangement. "You said nothing wrong," Zhao Su said. Lu Fu blinked. "For selecting officials, the capable should hold office. That's not a radical idea. It's just sense." It wasn't a political position for Zhao Su. It was a practical one. His mother had been a low-ranking palace consort with no family connections. He had been bullied his entire childhood by princes whose maternal uncles sat on the great family councils. Those families would never be his allies. The only foundation available to him was people like Lu Fu, talented, hungry, and locked out of every door the system kept closed. Lu Fu looked at him for a long moment. Then he made a decision. "Does your Highness wish to make Yin Prefecture a place where humble scholars can advance on ability alone?" "Yes." A gamble. The same kind Lu Fu had made when he swung the stick at the guard. If Zhao Su was testing him, the answer would cost him his life. If Zhao Su meant it, he had just found the lord he'd been waiting for. "Then this humble one is yours entirely." "Good." Zhao Su put a hand on his shoulder. "First order. Begin recruiting common people to farm the manor's land." Lu Fu's expression fell. "Your Highness, the noble families have already pressed most of the common people into working their fields. There's almost no one left to recruit." Zhao Su smiled. "There will be. And this is how this prince begins winning Yin Prefecture." Lu Fu stared at him, trying to work out what method could possibly compete with the noble families for the common people's labor, and came up empty. "Tell the people the manor charges 10% rent." Lu Fu stared. 10%. "Your Highness, the noble families take 80. 10% is almost giving the land away." "I know, but what's the point of squeezing a few extra tails if Yin Prefecture never becomes mine?" "Autumn is coming, Lu Fu." That landed. Autumn meant the Northern D. Every person in Yin province knew what that meant. The raids, the burning, the columns of people marched north and never seen again. Lu Fu steadied himself. "This humble official understands. I'll go now." "One more thing." Zhao Su stopped him. "The common people are not lowly. This world is built on their backs. Remember that." Lu Fu turned back. Something in his face shifted. Not quite tears, but close. He nodded once and left. The next morning, before the recruiting began, there was the matter of Zhang Han. The execution ground at Yin City's East Market was already crowded when the procession arrived. Zhang Han knelt in the center of it, pale and shaking. Lu Fu stood on the viewing platform in the official robes of a royal tutor, the first time he had worn them. Beside him stood Zhang Kong, prefect of Yin Prefecture, and younger brother of Zhang Qian. He had returned from Fanyang County the previous evening, heard from his brother about the Yin prince's recovery, and come to pay his respects, only to run into Zhang Han's execution procession on the way. He had little choice but to follow it to the grounds. Lu Fu read the warrant aloud. Zhang Han's crimes during the prince's illness, confinement of a Yin prince, abuse of authority, policies that had stripped the common people bare. "Cousin." Zhang Han twisted toward Zhang Kong, voice cracking. "Save me. Don't forget what I've done for your family." Zhang Kang's jaw tightened. He and Zhang Han had conducted plenty of business together. that he preferred stayed buried. A dead Zhang Han was far safer than a talking one. Bold criminal. Zhang Kong picked up the command arrow and threw it. The blade came down. A head rolled. Lu Fu turned to Zhang Kong with a level look. Prefect Zhang, I was the presiding official. My deepest apologies. Zhang Kong bowed, his face arranged into contrition. When he lowered his head, he was smiling. I was momentarily overcome. Please, royal tutor, reprimand me as you see fit. Lu Fu studied him for a moment, then turned away. Never mind. It didn't matter. Zhang Han was dead either way, and his death was already doing its work. The crowd around the execution ground was buzzing. So those policies weren't the Yin Prince's doing after all. The prince was mad. How could he have issued any of it? Good riddance. Sounds like the Yin Prince is a reasonable man. Zhang Kang's expression darkened as he listened. Then Lu Fu raised his voice to the crowd. His Highness the Yin Prince, in care for the people of Yin Prefecture, announces the following. The manor holds 60,000 acres of farmland and wishes to find tenants. Rent is set at 1/10 of the harvest. Any who wish to sign a contract may present themselves at the Yin Prince Manor. The terms are the same for all. The execution ground went silent for half a breath, then erupted. 1/10. The noble families take 8/10. Did he say 1/10? If that's true, the Yin Prince is a prince worth following. People were already moving before the talking stopped. Those with land told relatives without it. Those without land were already running. Within minutes, the execution ground had emptied entirely. Every last person streaming toward the Yin Prince Manor. Zhang Kong watched them go. His Highness has excellent methods, he said, his voice carefully neutral. In a single morning, the manor's name had gone from byword for cruelty to symbol of fairness. The two-pronged strategy he and Zhang Han had constructed, bleed the manor dry while poisoning its reputation, was in ruins. His Highness simply doesn't want the land to lie fallow. Lu Fu smiled and left. Zhang Kong had intended to go to the manor next. He reconsidered and turned for home instead. His brother needed to hear this immediately. On the way, he passed streams of young men heading in the opposite direction, not toward the manor's farmland office, but toward the guard recruitment post Chong Wei had set up. He stopped one of them. Where are you going? The Yin Prince Manor is taking on guards. 3 taels a month. Zhang Kong said nothing and kept walking. 3 taels. An ordinary Great Song soldier earned 1. The Yin Prince was paying his personal guards the same rate as the Imperial Army. In a prefecture where a single tael kept a family fed for a month. 3 taels was life-changing. Of course they were running. He found his brother in the garden, walking his bird. The land, the executions, the guard recruitment. Zhang Kong laid it out piece by piece. Elder brother, if this continues, Yin Prefecture will belong to him in name and in fact. Zhang Qian waved a hand. I already know, and I already have a plan. Zhang Kong blinked. The ice method. You gave him silver for it, which is now in our hands. The Yin Prince can play at governing all he likes. Zhang Qian's voice was flat and certain. Yin Prefecture belongs to the Zhang family. It always has. Let the royal family crumble. And it is crumbling, and will still be here. If the Northern D push through, we side with them and keep our position. Either way, this prefecture is our capital when the chaos comes. Zhang Kong leaned forward. And the Yin Prince? I've already sent word to Qing Feng's stronghold. Zhang Qian's tone didn't change. Once their men are inside the city, it doesn't matter whether the Yin Prince is mad or sane. A prince killed by bandits in his own manor. The emperor could do nothing about that. And afterward, we send troops to crush the stronghold and take the credit. Zhang Kong laughed, low and sharp. Brilliant. Bandits get the blame. We get the merit. And Yin Prefecture stays ours. The bird hopped on Zhang Qian's finger. He didn't smile. The heat was merciless. But the road south of Yin City was full of moving people. A group of refugees stopped a young man coming the other way. Li Yuan, is it true? The manor is taking on tenant farmers. It's true. I've already signed. Li Yuan held up the contract, then carefully folded it back and tucked it into his belt. I collect the land tomorrow. Most of the group couldn't read. They passed the contract around, squinting at it. How do we know this isn't a trick? I had 3 scholars read it independently. They all said the same thing. That was enough. The group stopped looking at the contract and started walking toward Yin City. By the time they reached the manor gate, it was already packed, bodies pressed together, the queue stretching back down the road. A middle-aged man at the back slapped his thigh. We waited too long. There won't be anything left for us. But the line kept moving, and word kept spreading through the crowd. The Yin Prince is charging 1/10. The noble families take 8/10. If this is real, he's the first decent lord this prefecture has ever seen. Zhao Su stood behind Accountant Qin's table and watched them come. Every person who received a contract turned and bowed before leaving. Not because anyone told them to, but because they wanted to. Word had gotten around that the young man at the table was the Yin Prince himself. How much land is left? He asked. 40,000 acres, Your Highness. He had checked the household registry earlier. Yin County held roughly 380,000 households. A third of them concentrated near Yin City. The manor's 60,000 acres, divided at 6 acres per household, could support 10,000 families. Not enough for everyone, but a start, and a visible one. He had also stripped the contracts down to their bones. The noble family's standard agreements bound tenants to obey labor orders in peacetime and fight as soldiers in wartime, effectively turning free people into property. He had crossed all of that out. His tenants farmed, paid their 10th, and owed nothing else. The land itself stayed in the manor's name. That was deliberate. An ordinary family couldn't protect a land deed against a determined noble house. But land registered to the Yin Prince Manor was a different matter. No local family would dare touch it openly. His tenants were free people living under his protection, not vassals. The arrangement just made that protection real. A commotion to his right pulled him out of his thoughts. A boy, 16, maybe 17, lean and dark-faced, was pushing through the crowd toward Chong Wei's recruitment table. A woman had him by the arm. Tiger, take the land and go home. What do you want with soldiering? I want to kill Northern D. He pulled his arm free. In 3 taels a month, I can take care of you and sister. Farming will feed us until the Northern D come and take everything again. He pressed his thumb to the registry in front of Chong Wei. If nobody fights for the Yin Prince, he won't stay in Yin County. Then we're back to farming the noble family's land. The people standing nearby had gone quiet. The boy's words weren't just his own. They were the shape of what everyone around him had been thinking and hadn't said. Others who had already signed for farmland drifted toward Chong Wei's table. Chong Wei glanced at Zhao Su. Something had shifted in the commander's expression over the course of the morning. He had been surprised when he first heard about the 10% rent. Genuinely surprised, in the way of a man who has never seen anything like it. In great song, even officials who preached about the welfare of the common people charged 50%. But watching the courtyard fill up, watching people bow without being told to, he thought he understood it now. Zhao Su stepped toward the boy. What's your name? Someone nearby murmured. That's His Highness the Yin Prince. The boy straightened and bowed quickly. Chun Hu, Your Highness. Zhao Su looked at him. Ragged clothes, dirty face, eyes sharp and clear. Like most people who had come through the gate today, worn down to the bone, but not broken. You're the only son left in your family. Be careful out there. Your mother needs you to come back. Chun Hu glanced at his mother. His jaw tightened. Your Highness may not know what the Northern D raids are like. 2 years ago they came through. My father and brother didn't survive. Last year they came back and took my sister. We don't know where she is. His voice caught. If they come again this year, and I'm still just farming, it'll be my mother next. I'd rather be unfilial and fight than stay home and watch it happen. The woman covered her face. Then she lowered her hands, looked at Zhao Su, and bowed. Your Highness, forgive me for asking plainly. Will your guards actually protect the people of Yin County? Will they fight the Northern D? Yes. Zhao Su didn't hesitate. As long as I am here, the Northern D will not be tolerated in Yin County. He said it to her. He said it to Chun Hu. He said it to every young man standing within earshot. Chong Wei's voice broke the moment. Loud, certain, carrying across the courtyard. The Yin Prince is mighty. His soldiers answered in one voice. Then Chunhu. Then the young men who had just pressed their thumbprints into the registry. The sound built on itself, rolling up and over the manor walls. Into the street beyond. Zhao Su stood in the middle of it and felt the weight settle onto his shoulders. Real and heavy, and nothing like he had expected. These people were placing everything they had left on him. He had better be worth it.